loose hair, roots, tips, and shrinkage. We're going to go over a few things today. Loose hair. It's easy to get really annoyed by loose hair. When you've got young dreadlocks, you usually have a lot of loose hair. Loose hair is just hair that hasn't dreadlocked yet. So it's going to be really common in young dreadlocks because you're still waiting for your dreadlocks to form. You know, how old are your dreadlocks? 6 months? 6 months ago, it was all loose hair. It's getting there. Everyone who has dreadlocks has loose hair. It's just different amounts of loose hair depending on, you know, your hair type and how long you've had your dreadlocks and various other factors. I personally get a lot more loose hair in summer. I don't know, when I go to humid places, my loose hair is when it's winter, now, there's frost on the ground, it's cold, not so much loose hair, just this annoying little patch here. So, loose hair is completely normal. It's not something I need to be worried about. It's not something that if you see it, you should think, oh no, my hair is coming apart, my dreadlocks are falling out. No, don't worry like that. Most of these things, loose hair, roots, tips, shrinkage, most of the problems people have with these is that people will come up to you and go, oh man, your dreadlocks are falling out, you need to redo those. You don't. It's part of the process. As I'm always saying, it's going to take at least a year, maybe 18 months before the dreadlocks start to mature. And until they mature, they're going to look a mess. I don't know how many times I can say this. There's no way around it. That is how it works. So, loose hair. What can you do about it if it's really getting in the way? I talked in the maintenance video about what I do with my fringe hair, and that is that I twist it around. I keep talking about it and then not actually having any fringe hair to do it with. I suffer with loose hair in the fringe, but I get around it by... I'm not going to spend too long on maintenance things because I talked about it in the maintenance video, but basically I just twist it around my finger until it sort of gets all stuck together and knotty, and then I wrap it around the dreadlock, and that will keep it out of my face for the day. If you get really lucky, it will stick into the dreadlock and start to knot to it, but basically that is the loose hair out of my face for today. It's just quick fixes like that and temporary measures that you should rely on, because when the dreadlocks mature, it will start to suck these loose hairs in. It's only when the dreadlocks are new baby dreads that you're going to really have a problem with it. The best advice I can give if you're suffering with really messy loose hair dreadlocks is tie them up, wear a hat. That's kind of a cop-out answer, not what you were hoping for, but you just need to get them out of the way and forget about them until the dreadlocks mature. So you can tie them back, or better yet, wear a hat or a beanie, because it's going to rub on your head. And when it rubs, it's going to whip up the loose hair, and when it whips up the loose hair, it's going to twist around and it's going to help it knot. Some people even sleep with hats on, like a wool beanie on, because it can help the dreadlocks to lock up. I personally never could, because this is warm enough as it is. Sleeping with a hat on top of this, that is madness. Where does loose hair go over time? So you've waited, you've done all your waiting, you've been wearing your hat the whole time, and you're finally getting your loose hair to go away. I'll show you. Get loose hair on my neck, well, sort of at the base of my neck, and look. See this? This used to be loose hair. Now it has formed baby dreadlock. See this? A few months ago that was loose hair. Now it has started to form a dreadlock. And twist it between my fingers a bit, twist it around a bit. Ease those along, but once they get long enough, they will probably stick to their nearest neighbour dreadlock, and then they'll be gone. And then probably in a few months I'll probably get a little bit more loose hair coming along, and then when that gets long enough and enough of it, that will form a new baby dreadlock and stick another dreadlock, and that will go too. It's a cycle, but I just thought I'd demonstrate that it does go away. That's loose hair I talked about. I'm going to talk about roots now. Young dreadlocks, they start to grow out. If you twist and rip or backcomb, then the hair is going to start to grow, and you're going to end up with an area between the dreadlock that you've started with whatever method you've used and your scalp, so you're going to have some loose root there. And this again is normal. Don't stress about it. It has to grow out before it will start to lock back up again. Most people will have, including me, have had a big chunk of straight hair between the dreadlock and the head, and it wasn't until a year, 18 months before that gap really started to close up. Again, not much you can do about it. You can try what I talked about in the maintenance video of circular root rubbing. Don't overdo it, as I've mentioned before, because you don't want to break any hairs down at the root. But it's something you can try. But really the best thing to do again is leave it, tie your hair back, wear a hat until it starts to mature. It will start to mature and then you won't need to do any of this stuff anymore. And it's debatable whether any of this stuff actually helps speed up or just keeps your hands busy and your mind occupied. The hardest thing apparently to do with the dreadlocks is to forget that they exist. I forget that I have them now. When they were younger, I was probably stressing about them the whole time. And it's the thing, when they're not mature, I've got to do this, I've got to maintain this. And then as soon as they get mature, you forget about them and then they do it themselves and you don't even notice the progress that they're making. So roots, don't stress, I promise they will eventually start locking up themselves. And anything you do to try and speed that up is just going to slow it down. They need to lock up on their own. Once they get into a sort of rhythm of locking up on their own, then they're going to do that forever. I don't do anything. I can not push my finger through the hair between the dreadlock and the scalp. It is locked pretty much all the way to my head. I have not done anything to do that. I have just left them alone, and now it is dreadlocked all the way up to my scalp. And it's done that by itself because I've been patient and left it alone. And if you do that too, it will do it. If you spend forever trying to do it yourself, if you do like the worst thing possible, and that's backcomb the roots, you're combing through any knots that are formed on their own. They can't start to knot by themselves if you keep messing with it. As roots, let's talk about tips. Not tips, but tips of dreadlocks. Sort of two different types of tips that are out there. There's the blunted tip and there is the loose tip, which is called wispy ends. Most people, when they think of dreadlocks, tend to want to go for blunted tip. That is sort of where there's just rounded off dreadlock. Blunted tip takes a really long time of sort of stuff rubbing past it before it gets completely blunted. Not a lot you can do to speed it along other than wait a really long time. If you don't cut your dreadlocks, so you leave the tip as it is and then let your dreadlocks grow out for a long time, then maybe it will blunt. It's not a guarantee that anyone's dreadlocks will properly blunt how you sort of picture it. I personally think blunted tips are not all they're cracked up to be. Although it might not look like it, these are just these aren't blunted tips. I cut my dreadlocks before each summer because it's easier to wash and dry them when it's warm. So I don't know if you can see, but it's not really a blunted tip. It's soft here. It's loose. I would argue that a loose tip or wispy end is better than a blunted tip because I've had more blunted tips before and it's harder to dry them. Wispy ends come about because when you're drying your hair, when water is running through them, they pull hair down. And so you'll notice this when you have young dreadlocks and you go in the shower. When you get out of the shower, you'll have a lot of loose hair at the tip because as the water runs down, it pulls hairs down with it. But when it has a loose tip like that, when you're drying your hair and washing your hair, the water will run much more freely through the dreadlock and out the dreadlock. If you have a blunted tip, you can find that it sort of gets held up at the end. It doesn't flow out as easily. And although you can squeeze the water out, because the water's been held up there and you have to really try to get it out, it can leave residue there. In infusing residue-free shampoo, if you can end up with a bit of residue left in the tip of the dreadlock, and over time that's going to look like this dust in the dreadlock because the residue stays there and it's slightly sticky, and then dust and lint will stick to it and you'll find it'll look like you've got dusty dreadlocks, and you'll have to, if you're having sort of dust in the tips, you can leave a comment. I will make a video telling you how to deal with that So wispy ends are easier to attain and they are easier for living with. But as you can see here, a wispy end doesn't have to be long straight hair. You can always cut it. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you have young dreadlocks. Just give them a little bit of time to sort themselves out. But if you have mature dreadlocks and you're still having loose hair sticking out there, there's no law that says you can't cut the loose hair or cut the tip off. This here, you can see, is actually all loose hair at the end. It's like a paintbrush. Water will flow out of that really easily when I'm washing my hair, and if I don't like this, I can always cut off the tip of the dreadlock here, and then it will be more blunted looking. Talked about loose hair, talked about roots, talked about dreadlock tips. What else am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about shrinkage. Shrinkage is when you start your dreadlocks, so you go from straight, non-dreaded hair to dreadlocks. The non-dreaded hair may go down to your chest, or when I started mine, I did have straight hair, probably length down to the chest, and then when I got the dreadlocks it was probably less than half that length. Because straight hair grows straight down, dreadlock hair is sort of scrunched up. When you start dreadlocks, many people experience shrinkage. That is when the hair doesn't immediately go from long hair to dreadlock, like it does with backcombing. If you backcomb your hair, you can come straight out with short little backcombed locks, matted lock things. But if you twist and rip, you're more prone to getting shrinkage. So as the dreadlock forms, it slowly shrinks up over time, and when it does that, you can get sort of loops and lumps and bumps, and the dreadlocks will have lots of character, and each dreadlock will look unique, but it won't be perfectly tube-like. It will be lumpy and swirly. This is sort of the nature of the beast. There is once those loops have started to form, there's not an awful lot you can do about it. It's just sort of the way that that dreadlock is formed. You can try palm rolling it straighter, but there's limited degrees of success of that happening. The loopiness, the lumpy bumpiness, sort of levels off a little bit as the dreadlocks mature, because as they mature and they get bashed around and rubbed day to day, they will become a little bit more straighter and less lumpy. But you have to accept that the dreadlocks that you start, so whether you twist and rip or backcomb or whatever method you're using, that initial dreadlock, the dreadlock that is formed from your existing hair, is going to be different from the dreadlock that then grows from the new hair. Just how it works. If you start with backcombing, the hair is going to be tougher. As it grows out, the new hair is going to be softer. If you start with twist and rip, it's not going to be so much a texture difference with hard and soft. It's just that the dreadlock that you start with is often going to look a little bit more mad and lumpy. You can get this with backcombing too. It depends how tight they're backcombed, but they are going to be slightly different. Most people have sort of lumps and bumps with the dreadlocks to begin with and hate it and think, oh no, I want my dreadlocks to look tube-like and uniform. And then as soon as they stop getting lumps and bumps, they miss the uniqueness. The new hair is going to grow out, it's going to be less lumpy and less bumpy. It's not going to be perfectly uniform tube-like, because that's not really how dreadlocks work. It's still going to be a little bit of character and texture to it, but you'll find that the lumps and bumps dreadlocks will slowly get further and further down as the new hair comes in, and if you really hate them, you can cut them off. If you're having any other roots, tips, loose hairs, shrinkage problems, and I haven't talked about it, comment, message me with your particular problem, and I will try and help you out. Thank you!